let's begin with our content. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. A little background information about Wiser. It was started really by Sister Najwa Ozgur and her husband, Mehmet. They had, for a long time, supported the full-time Islamic schools and initiated several schools in California, one of which became a nationally recognized Blue Ribbon school. So a few years back, Sister Najwa and her friends got together and said, we need to create an association to support the weekend schools. Many of us have had our careers in the full-time schools as well as weekend schools, and decided it was time to actually create an organization for support of all kinds. So many of us are really well experienced from other organizations and still have our fingers in those other organizations, but it's time, I think, in many of our lives to really share the expertise and the context that we have made to benefit the full-time schools as well as the weekend Islamic schools. So tonight we're going to talk about classroom management tips. And I wanted to introduce to you several of the people that we have as presenters tonight. I'm going to read their bios to you. And if you also want to double check more information about them, you can go to our website. That listing will be at the very end on the final slide, inshallah. So I will start off, and then I will have Sister Samar Dalati-Ghannoum. She's going to be working on Arabic instruction for you. She is an award-winning California-based foreign language instructor and curriculum developer who currently serves as a professor at University of Redlands in the International Relations, History, and Theology departments, and is a Sunday school instructor, curriculum developer at the Islamic Center of Southern California, the ICSC. Samar began her career as an Arabic language, arts, and literature professor at Damascus University, where she earned a BA in the field of Arabic language and arts. She went on to obtain an MA in the field of education and was further credentialed in the field of psychology. Samar is accomplished as a national foreign conference presenter with multiple appearances from 2004 to present. As the current executive board member of the National Arabic Teachers Association, Youth United Purpose, and Weekend Islamic School Educational Resources. Additionally, she is a board member of the Arab American Press Guild and a member of the American Consulate of Teaching Foreign Language, oftentimes referred to as ACTFL. Samar keeps up to date on the latest training techniques and studies applicable to Arabic language instruction. She is also a board advisor for the Society of Egyptian Americans, a founding member of Syrian American Ladies Aiding Mothers, and a formal volunteer and representative at NISWA. Next, we're going to have Sister Amal Sakr Elhoseiny, who she received her PhD degree in comparative studies of the German and Arabic languages and literature from Cairo University in Egypt. She worked as a lecturer at the College of Education and Ain Shams University. From 2000 to the present, she works as an Arabic teacher at New Horizons School, Pasadena. In 2010, she became Nooraniya Method certified and started teaching Qur'an at the same school. She is also the head teacher of Arabic, Qur'an, and Islamic studies at the Sunday school at the ICSC. She presented in different conferences. She designed standards-based activities for Qatar Foundation International and the BIAE. She participated as a master Arabic teacher in the Al-Din Foundation Start Talk student program and the Al-Din online teacher training program. With Hadi Start Talk, she taught Arabic virtually to high school and college students. She is an executive board member of the National Arabic Teachers Association, K through 12. She conducted a workshop for teachers of Arabic in Tamarack, Florida, and Enoria, a workshop for teachers in Orange Crescent School in California. Last year, she supervised a student teacher's training for an Arabic teacher from the teacher preparation program at National University. Working together with other instructors to enhance teaching of Arabic and Quran is her goal, and I should say her passion.
Hey, Susan, if I can stop you for just a second. Your voice is sort of breaking up. Do you have a way to just mic mute and then come back? See if you can mute and unmute and see if it improves.
I don't know if I'll be able to mute and unmute. Let's see if this will help.
Right, let's see. Can't hear you anymore. Not anymore. Yeah. No, we can't hear you anymore. Just mute and unmute, right? Did you switch the mic? No, we cannot hear you anymore. No, we cannot hear you anymore, Susan. Okay. Unmute yourself now. Okay, you're muted now. Do you want to unmute yourself, please? Sister Abir, you can hear, correct?
Yes.
You're muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Susan,
I was muted because I'm not speaking. So, but you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Susan, if you
Susan,
could unmute
it's
yourself.
the mic on the top of the page, right next to share and leave.
No, we cannot hear you anymore.
They won't let you unmute.
There is some noise now. Give us a few minutes, folks. Inshallah, we'll figure this out. Sister Zain is recommending that if you leave and rejoin, that might help. Because you didn't change the mic, correct? Okay. Any other speaker would be able to continue?
We were trying to get the slide presentation in slideshow format. So, Brother Faisal, do you have that?
Yes, I think she sent it to us. Let me open this up real quick. And it is from my Gmail.
I think you're unmuted, Sue. Now, is it working?
No,
Still
we can't hear
still no
anymore.
sound.
Yeah, it's possible if you leave and come back, maybe that'll fix it. Oftentimes the mic gets, yeah. Okay, so I have the deck here, and I'm going to open this up real quick. It's opening up on my browser, taking a little time. It is a big deck. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So Sister Abir or anyone else, would you, once I share, then you'd be able to continue, correct? Inshallah.
Yeah, I'll just give an intro until Sister Sue comes in here. That's fine.
Okay.
If that's
so
okay with you, ladies, is that okay?
Definitely, go ahead.
Yeah,
Can you
we
hear
do
me now?
have some 100+ people
Is that
on this
you, Sue?
webinar.
I think we hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey.
We can hear you.
Ahlan wa sahlan.
All right, so I'm going
mistake
to
was telling me to
present
turn off
mode,
the mic.
Susan.
Sorry.
And yeah, I think just put it into slideshow mode. Okay, awesome.
All right, are we good?
Great. Alhamdulillah.
All right, let's kick it back into gear. All right.
If you could just make it louder, Sue, by getting closer or something, that would be great. I think that's what needs to be done.
Don't move, don't breathe, Susan, anymore, please.
All right. I won't change anything. Can you still hear me though?
Yes. Yes.
All right. I'm going to skip over Sister Abir. It breaks my heart because you can read her bio, eminently qualified, as well as my own, which you could always catch up on our website to see. If we could have the slide advanced, please.
It is advanced.
Got it. Thank you so much. Helps to have the backup. All right. So today's topic is really talking about classroom management. And let's make it very clear that classroom management is like the big sphere and behavior management is the little, like the Venn diagram, it's the little part that goes within the larger sphere. And I know that many of the teachers for, full-time school as well as weekend school, particularly when they're new, they have difficulty with class behavior management. We're going to touch on that a little bit, but that is not really what this is just all about. I have asked my colleagues to give me the best of the best, knowing the typical pain points of the teachers in the specific topics that they specialize in, so that inshallah we'll give you a little taste of what they're able to provide for you. And ultimately, we hope that you will come to us for professional development. And I'll tell you, behavior management is one of my favorite topics that I like to address with many of the teachers, because several years of teaching, I think I've earned my stripes, and I certainly have the scars from a lot of incidences that have happened where I have learned, and I've taken many professional development courses myself on behavior management because I taught middle school and high school for many years. And let me tell you, they will come up with lots of challenges that sometimes you don't find the answers in the books. But alhamdulillah, I think that we've got some good insights that inshallah I will share some of them with you today. What I wanted to emphasize though mostly is that as a teacher in a full-time Islamic school or a weekend school, and even just a parent, the life of having a gift of a child that you can influence is so precious. It is the greatest amana that anyone can have. And they say, as of course, I'm sure you know, that teachers are second only to the prophets in their rank, because you are given the sacred duty of passing on the sacred subjects to the next generation. And Allah has chosen you for this. So what I try to emphasize to all of the teachers is to always bear in mind that you are the adult. You have been assigned this sometimes very difficult task by Allah to help the future generation. Inshallah, your life experiences have given you insights that you are able to in turn share with the students that are your trustees. What we're going to talk about in my topic area is stress-free pedagogy, and basically just getting started with the new school year that we now have. And then we will have Sister Samar address the Arabic classroom management tips. Then Sister Amal will talk about the Qur'an classroom management tips. And Sister Abir will finish up with Islamic studies management tips. And we'll do a little Q&A. Inshallah, there will be time. So next slide, please.
On. Next slide is on.
All right. So starting off, we're basically going to be looking at, when you come into a new class for the new year, establish yourself as the leader. And I'm not saying you're doing a power play here per se, but what you want is to establish the leadership of the classroom. And you're going to turn it into a community classroom, of course, where everybody has a voice, but it always helps to have some firm guidance, as we know that's the best type of parenting, even in a family. So establish your leadership with the expectations and the routines. One thing that I like to start my classes off with, because I also teach Islamic mindfulness meditation, is a type of arrival practice. And especially this is useful if you have students who are going from classroom to classroom, where they might come in a little bit agitation, or they may feel that they are still carrying baggage from another class into the time that they come into your presence. So let's do this even for ourselves for right now. Let's all of us settle in and take a deep breath in. Hold that breath a bit, and then a long exhale out. Take another inhale in. Hold. Long exhale out. Sense any of the tension that might be in your body, and try to relax. Any place that you feel tension, it might be in your fingers or in your toes. It may be that you're holding your shoulders very high. Try to release. And inshallah, think about you being here to learn, to benefit, and inshallah, to share with your own practice with your students. So when we start off class, we try to bring focus to the teacher and focus to the students, and ask them to remember why it is that they come to school. And ultimately, you want to coach them to say, we come to school to learn, right? So at times, we need to practice and say, why do we come to school? And they may give you a whole bunch of other reasons, but ultimately, the greatest reason is to learn. What I oftentimes will do is begin with homework protocols. So I am establishing my expectations, and it's a great way to really get the school year on the right track. So oftentimes I'll, on the board, indicate, please put your name on the right side, indicate the date and whatever protocols you want them to do. Next, oftentimes you need to have attendance taken in your classrooms, but you don't want everybody to be running around pell-mell or them to be not doing something productive. We will oftentimes say, when we come to class, I'm going to have what they call a bell ringer, some sort of activity, a piece of art I want you to write about, or a quote on the board. Give them something to do from the moment they come in the classroom so that you have the opportunity to get yourself prepared for this class period and to take your attendance. And then lastly, if you have a late homework policy or a turn in your homework type of policy, get that communicated to your students. And ultimately, it's great to have this information also in writing. Also, you have to find ways to get your class to settle and focus, because sometimes everybody's very rowdy, especially if perhaps you've had an assembly or some other activity, or they were outside, they're coming back in. So believe it or not, even with some of the older students, I've done something, it's rather silly, but the more silly, even the better for older students. It'd be something like, I'll say, if you hear my voice, let's say the class was very loud. If you hear my voice, touch your head, and then people join in. And not everybody will hear it necessarily. If you hear my voice, clap your hands, and then more people will hear that and they will come in. And then finally, if you hear my voice, stomp your feet, and then you hear the floor all rattle. So little things like this, instead of yelling, it's time to start class, or flipping the light switch on and off, these kinds of things, they're just a neat little organized way to get the students on track, focused in, and listening to what the lesson is going to be about. And the more you practice the routines, the better and easier that it's going to be, and ultimately get their attention. One thing that is so important that I learned the hard way is that if you are trying to teach and the students are not listening, you're absolutely doing it wrong. You are doing your content a disservice, and you will never get the information into the students, especially not internalized. So you must have order in the classroom before you're able to teach your content. And let's face it, some days the kids are just bananas and it might be really hard to get their attention. Don't fight it. Always have a backup activity or something else that you're going to be able to do. Let's just start a dialogue. Let's talk about something, and then they will tune in. Then you're able to start the content of your class. But I tell you, I was practically doing handstands, trying to get content out sometimes, and found out that is just not the way to do it. So please save your voice, save your energy, and make sure that you get all the students on track with something before you go into your specific content. Last thing is, yes.
Susan, people cannot see the slide. You will have to run it in the slideshow mode and move to that slide number 3, please.
You're breaking up a little bit. I'm going to stop sharing, and can we use your slide?
Sure.
All right.
Can you confirm that you can see my slide?
Yes.
Starting the school term? Excellent. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so kindly. All right. Last thing is really assigning seats to learn the students' names. Oftentimes students will come in and they will start changing seats on you. It makes it very difficult. So while you're in the very beginning of the school year, I think it's a great idea just to say, maybe later we will rearrange different groups, but until I know your names, then please sit in the assigned seats. Next slide, please. And you'll have to click a few times through these. Go ahead and keep clicking to load it. Yeah. As any experienced teacher will tell you, the very first thing to do is get your students to know each other and for you to know them. You may want to have like index cards and ask certain questions so that they might be inquiring about, you might inquire, what is your favorite subject? Why are you coming to weekend school? Do you want to come to weekend school? What is, something that perhaps I can help you learn? What's your favorite hobby? Do you know anyone else in this class? Because they may or may not. Try to find out, what their passions are and connect them, meet them when they're at. If you find that you have some students who are particularly challenging, and it does happen at times, never get into a power play. Never show that you're angry. Remember, you are the adult. And so I would suggest just take everything in as though you've been there, you know that, and perhaps ask that student who might be a bit challenging, can I see you after class? What I've done with some of these types of students is realize that they're just looking to assert themselves as the authority. They want the power in the class. I say give it to them, because what I've done with great success is to say, look, what I'm helping to teach people in our class is very important. And I feel that this is something that Allah has drawn me to. I have my wisdom, my life, things to share, and it's really important. So, can I have your help? And you will find that they will always say yes, because they don't want to be really in contest with you. They really just want to kind of get attention from everybody else in the class. So share with your students why it is that you are teaching. Use your personal stories. Encourage them to tell you some of their personal stories. Get to the point where they're comfortable doing that and say, what's in this class stays in this class. But you will find that it gives them a wonderful opportunity to really get to know you, really have somebody that will take the time, somebody that they can trust. And of course, be consistent in your use of behavior management. You've got to be absolutely fair so that if things get noisy, make sure that you call it out when it happens. If somebody is making more noise than somebody else, you've got to always watch, even with genders, that you're calling on the genders equally. One thing that I've done also in the past to help with this is I just put the students' names on popsicle sticks, and I have a little system where if I'm asking questions, I'll just randomly pull out a popsicle stick, and that way it's truly random. So nobody would know if it's going to be, there's no favoritism involved. It's also great to use these popsicle sticks if you're going to make groups. So you can very easily put students together in groups of 3 or 4. Next slide, please.
Should I click through?
Keep going.
The daily prayer. There we go.
Okay.
Number 2.
And
Anything
one more.
else? Excellent.
And then final one. All right. So this is my last slide. When it comes to lesson plans, I do really believe in them. Maybe not everybody does, but I found that the more that you stack into your lesson plan, so you don't have a lot of wasted time, students are more likely to be on task and be basically behaved well, because they're there to not waste their time. If you're too loosey-goosey in your time management as the leader of the teachers, the teacher, I should say, is really the leader of the class in so many ways. Make sure that you have enough activities that go even beyond what you thought you might need. Because sometimes you thought some activity will take 20 minutes, but they're done with it in 10. And then what do you do? So also, the day might come that you need to have something for a substitute. And it's good to have a folder for the substitute to be able to have activities, whether that be like hidden word puzzles or just any other types of skits that they can do, things to read, pictures to color if they're the younger students, even doing Islamic art, even if they're older students. It's always just good to have some backup plans. And there is a gentleman who wrote a book many years ago that really, when I was a beginning teacher, was very helpful. And his name was Fred Jones. And he had something called the preferred activity. Now, I know when I was in 5th grade, my teacher would like it when we would have a little game at the end of the day called Heads Up, 7 Up. And we would put our heads down, we just play a game. So if you find that the students prefer doing certain activities, you can sort of use that as the carrot at the end of the stick that, hey, guys, if we get through all that we need to do today, then maybe we'll have time to play whatever game at the end of the class. So that it does help keep them on track, having a preferred activity that you find that they like to participate in. And then finally, try to get some physical activity into their lives because students have to sit so much and it really is just against the grain. And socialization as well, particularly starting at middle school level and high school level, give them opportunities to talk with each other, trade ideas with each other, work on group projects together. There was a sample lesson I had to do in Dubai once with a very rowdy group of 8th graders. It was a geography lesson. And so I had my slide deck. I tried to make my lesson go through as quickly as possible. But then I had brought like a beach ball that was in the shape of a globe that I would throw it to one of the students. And I gave the prerogative, you must make sure that you're not whipping the ball at anybody else or the game is over. But if I give you a question, you answer it, and then you can also do the same, pass the ball on to somebody else, asking them one of the questions from the lesson and see if we can keep the ball going in the play. That is about it for me. I would just suggest that you enjoy the ride. It's very special to be a teacher and especially a teacher leader. And I thank you very much for attending. Next, we're going to have Sister Samar. Next slide, please.
It's on, Sister Samar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. I'm going to depend on you with the rolling in the slide, or would you like me to share?
Let's keep the sharing on my side. This way,
Okay,
you guys
that's
can focus
great.
on discussion.
Awesome. Okay, it's the most challenging period in Sunday school and at the university and everywhere. Teaching foreign language, teaching Arabic as a foreign language. We're not using Latin words like Spanish or German, but I'm going to share with you some of the challenges we usually have. It's very hard for me to lecture like this. Usually I depend on interactive class and I do use brainstorming a lot, questions and answers and open-ended questions. So I can't hear you and I can't ask questions, but you can always write in the chat and I'll do my best to reply. If you can write with 2 words, what's the enemy of any teacher inside the classroom, in your opinion? Give you 2 seconds to do that, few seconds. Well, for me, the terrifying part to be, okay, I heard distraction. Oh, yeah, distraction could be enemy. For me, it's no problem. I can focus and I can involve everybody. And that's not how I started teaching. At the beginning of my teaching career, when I started teaching, I was like only 17 years old. Distraction was really big challenge. Not anymore. How come? For me, my best enemy and the one terrifies me when I see the rolling eyes and the kids are bored. And then I feel like I'm not doing my job right. If you don't mind, if we can go to the second slide, brother.
There you go. It's on.
Okay, great. So through the years, I've learned how to go over that challenge. Rolling eyes, never interested. We don't speak Arabic. We heard it all. I'm not interested in this language. Why we're learning Arabic? You had it all. And I had it all also. I answered with in a sarcasm way. I answered with fun. I answered with, just because I am a teacher and I know how to speak Arabic and I'm here to teach you Arabic. We had it all. But after all, we learned how to make it fun. And the key for everything is the structured routine. When I say structured routine, that doesn't mean at all I go every time and I say Sabahul Khair or Assalamu alaikum. This won't be interesting at all for the kids, and they won't be interested because they will reply Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm sure you all heard it. For me, if I hear it that way, I feel like it's time to change. So I have to come with a creative way. So for me, establishing routine is to become creative. And one of the creativity is to be different every time. Warming up activity, setting up the stage, be creative, sky is the limit. Coming to school with a hat on your head, wearing weird scarf, wearing your jacket upside down, having tangible stuff in your hand, coming with a robe, jumping all the way inside the classroom, sky is the limit. That doesn't mean I'm a clown or I can be clown, or that's not at all. What I'm trying here to do is stimulating the interest in the kids or the learner. Yesterday, I'm teaching Arabic 200 to a class, and one of the students shouted when the class is over, and I said, okay, time to leave if you have another session. He said, I can't believe it. It's done. It's always fun all the way. And I was like, wow, that's a music to my ear. All what I want to know is I'm teaching with fun. Another keyword for classroom management is encouraging the creativity. Encouraging the creativity, it's not only you have to be creative, also the learner has to be creative. And you will be surprised, or they will surprise you with the amount of talent they have, from music to art to cracking jokes, creating posters, anything, you name it. You will really hear it all. We all heard about teaching grammar. I walked one time to one of our teachers' classroom, and she was working with, okay, now في من إلى عن على, those are the أحرف الجر. And I felt like I want to faint. That's not the way we do it. Yes, grammar is very, very important, and it has to be integrated in my lesson. However, I'm not going to focus on the grammar at all. It should be there to support me, and if the point is raised, yes, definitely I will explain it. But I won't say the pronouns are anta, anti, antuma, and me as an adult, I cannot memorize it like this. It has always to come in a natural way, in a concept, in a content. Now, reviewing vocabulary doesn't mean I have to put the sight words around the wall or on the board, or today we're going to review this and this and this. That doesn't work that way. I mean, reviewing by designing activity or having open-ended questions, or integrating with the student in a way you recycle what you have and introduce new word. Usually when you add one or two vocabulary in familiar sentences you already taught. That as example, I will give you example. When I say أنا أحب, if I said أنا أحب, they all understand أنا أحب means I love or I like something. أنا أحب القهوة, they have never learned the word قهوة, but قهوة, it's a previous knowledge for them. Coffee in English, قهوة in Arabic. The word coffee came from the Arabic word. Then if I replaced أنا أحب القهوة with أنا أحب الوردة, or with one of the أنا أحب أحمد, أنا أحب سارة, etc. They understand the new vocabulary from the concept I put the vocabulary in. And we can go on and on. Next slide, please, Brother Faisal. I'm trying to rush and go through all the points because here one of setting the stage. We had a event where we put tattoos, or temporary tattoos, or henna color, whatever you want to. That was an activity, and they draw all kinds of things on their hand. How hard is it to talk about what they draw on their hand? If I say ماذا على يدك؟ هل على يدك أسد؟ هل على يدك زهرة؟ هل على يدك تفاحة؟ whatever. But look at the faces. Look how excited they are. Yes, it's a miss in the classroom, but that's the way the classroom's supposed to be. What we call it, I mean, directed distraction. Yeah, they need to let that energy out, and they need to let it go in foreign language. One of the method of recycling words in mine is like, I never taught them go out or get in words written on the board. I would say افتح الباب, اخرج, اغلق الباب. They all know my routines. I start from level like say 2 or 3. We'll say قيام خلف الكرسي, وراء أحمد, سارة أمام نادية, نادية خلف مفيد, etc. Now افتح الباب, اذهب إلى الفسحة. When I do this week after week after week, I do not need to say قيام or قف خلف الكرسي or أمام الطاولة, etc. Because I'm repeating those, I'm recycling those, and they learn it. When I take the attendance, they reply with أنا هنا. أين أحمد? أحمد ليس هنا. Do I need to teach ليس? They understand ليس when I say أين أحمد؟ أحمد ليس هنا. أين سارة؟ سارة هنا. أين مصطفى؟ مصطفى في البيت. And if I have tangible picture, that will be great. Next slide, brother. Still have 5 slides. Okay. Incorporate active learning. I mean, there is nothing new here. You all know that, and you are all smart teachers, but the more you put this stuff in, the more fun it is. I'm well known, like the let's say the misbehavior is to the minimum in my class. That's because I'm strong and tough. Yes, I do stick to my rules. Yes, they know from the very beginning what my rules are and what do I expect from them and what is Sunday school all about. The same thing with the university. I mean, I design my syllables very, very carefully, and they know the consequences, and I don't have to go over it a lot of times. It's one time we go over it and reinforce it, keep my word, stick to my opinion, but at the same time, I cannot keep them unoccupied. They have to be occupied all the time. Role playing, group discussion, language games. Sky also is the limit, and with now ideas, it's all over the internet. It just takes some work. Not a lot from my side, though, because I do ask the student to design activity and they come with a great activity. One of my famous games is Labatul Kens, where I hid objects around the class. Actually, I hid letters or clues around the classroom or around the playground or wherever, and they go from one paper to another. Oh, تحت الطاولة, so they will go تحت الطاولة. They will find انظر خلف الشجرة. They will go خلف الشجرة. Oh, اذهب إلى العمود. They will go إلى العمود. All the way until they found the treasure or alkans. And what do they do with this kind of a game? We practice our reading skills, our communication skills, our writing skills. I mean, all kind of skills involved, but it's all associated with fun. Role playing, I mean, this is one of the most beloved activity. When I'm like yesterday, as example, I was like talking about the city. أنا من دمشق. دمشق مدينة كبيرة. في دمشق مسجد كبير. في دمشق بيت كبير. I mean, this is the, I mean, when you go to the statement of I do in Actfill, or what every level can do. For the beginner, all what they can do is count the stuff. But if I don't teach verbs and pronouns and questions to gain information, they will never be able to use the language correctly. Doesn't matter if they memorize 200 vocabulary or 2,000 or 5,000. If they don't know how to connect those words and put them together with the key word, like verbs, connection words. أنا أحب التفاح لكن لا أحب البرتقال. Well, he's a beginner. He has no opinion. When the student will say, okay, الليل جميل لكن أظن أن النهار أجمل. What are you talking about? You have very limited language. You have no opinion in the first place. How come you're saying أظن? But look at the heavy weight we give the conversation when we teach words like لكن, ربما, أظن, في رأيي, which is all will help. Next slide, brother. Okay. This is second day in the classroom. If you can play the video, brother. Second week, I'm sorry.
I'm not so sure if the sound is getting through.
You have to, when you share, you have to include the sound. When you share, you see the, you might need to stop sharing and share again and say include, click on the button of include sound. I have experience with Team, guys, because I teach during COVID. I taught on Team.
Okay, so share screen window tab and then
see the bottom under share, like include sound. Okay.
Share entire screen, also share system audio.
No. Oh, okay. Yeah. No. When you share, you push the button share.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Okay.
Yeah. يسرب عصير مع خالد.
Did you hear it?
Yes. Okay, thank you. On the chat, if you can tell me what happened here, what kind of language skill we used here. And if you go to the next slide, that will be fine also, brother.
Would you like me to play it one more time, just so people could pay attention?
No, that's fine. Or if you like to, that's fine.
It was really quick, so I'm going to play one more time.
Yeah. يسرب عصير مع خالد.
Okay, you all heard it now? All what she said here, تشرب, and she made an error. She said هي تشرب العصير مع خالد. And that will bring that to the last point. I will be talking about giving feedback to the student. How would we give feedback, or how do we do assessment for whatever? I mean, if through that video, notice she cannot read. It's her second week in the classroom. She doesn't know even the alphabet, but we started communication, and it's in preschool, in kindergarten, in any level. We can start conversational or communicational Arabic from the first day. She drew stick figures on the board. That's the way the kids write, because they don't know how to write, not even in English. And then they can read those stick figures. And while she said, هي تشرب العصير مع خالد. That's all what I wanted from her. I wanted her to use the proverb, the pronoun, and I wanted her to use to conjugate the verb. And I want my main focus on that class was مع, و, and ثم, or, and أو in that class. So whatever your focus is, focus on that. And that's okay. That's a great comment, Sarah, as well as Aisha. Those are great comments. Yes, and that will raise the student's self-esteem. Yeah, I can speak Arabic. Yes, I can use the language. It's not only on the book. I can communicate, and I have tons of videos if you ever want to see, from preschool all the way to university level, and I display those videos in front of the student. We share it with each other. If you can go to the, in this class, it's very important to use tangible stuff. Like I will share with you, I go to the Sunday school with basket full of grapes and berries. And we use أريد لا أريد أحب لا أحب كبير صغير توت الأرض كبير العنب صغير. I mean, also again, I'm repeating, sky is the limit. You can use all kind of vocabulary and language and communication. And it's, if anybody said Quranic Arabic, yes, it is Quranic Arabic communication in the way in the Quran from the very beginning, from قل يا أيها الناس إذ قل يا أيها الكافرون اقرأ. It's all communication. And yes, we are teaching communication. I avoid vocabulary are not the common used, and I will encourage to learn the vocabulary they are in the Quran. But wherever I'm teaching, it's not in the Quran. There is Ainab in the Quran. There is Tut in the Quran. There is Basal in the Quran. There is, there is Anta, Anti, Antum, Huwa, Hiya, every single aspect of the language in the Quran. Plus, when you teach Arabic, you encourage or you're building background to understand the Quran. Using technology, learning apps. I'm not very big fan of the apps, but however, it helps. And also there is so many apps. I can give some examples if we can go to the second slide, brother. How much time I still have? Okay, let's play this video. And this is like one of our teachers. She's great with audios and
There we
tangible.
go. So I'm going to play the video now.
Yes.
هذا كعب. طيب ما هذه؟ هذه تفاحة. كان بليز رجل الفويس يا ياسمين. ما هذه؟ هذه تفاحة. طيب ما هذا؟ ماء. Can you repeat please أعد. هذا ماء. ما هذا؟ ماء. No, this one is not ماء. هذا ماء. هذا عصير.
Okay, if we can stop, brother, for the sake of time. The same teacher brought tufah and ma and kak to the classroom, and they were sharing and asking each other, ma hada, hal turidu, la uridu, uhibbu, la uhibbu, etc. You all see all kind of activity. And she's not stressing on it a lot, because in the next week, she's going to use maybe uridu. The week after, she will use uhibbu, and then it become natural language in the class. But what I was big fan of in this class is the role play. When you see she break the class to groups, and then they integrate with each other. بالعربي, they will hand a piece of cake or take a piece of strawberry or apple or again, one of my favorite activity is I take my decorated tablecloths, the aghabani or the sarma, and I take my cup of coffee and dates and some cookies to the classroom at the university, and we start to drink qahwa. ونأكل الحلوى ونأكل التمر مع القهوة. هل تريد سكر مع القهوة؟ لا أريد قهوة، أريد شاي، تفضل شاي. Again, all kind of language is there. Language is not only stressing. One time I walked to one of the classroom and the teacher working with every individual. Qaf, no, not kaf, sweetheart. It's qaf. Look at my lips. And by the time she arrived to the last student, the first one was acting up. Yes, it's very important. And notice the teacher said no. She noticed somebody pronouncing it ma, and she said no, it's ma. But you never ever use the word wrong. It's always positive enforcement. It's a language, guys. It's supposed to be fun. Remember the ESL. We go there to be our psychotherapy, not to learn English. So it has to be the psychotherapy for everyone one when they learn Arabic, not a stress. So yeah, I do. It's very important to correct the pronunciation. However, I won't spend time on it. One of my techniques is to ask the student. I send them video and it's on Al Jazeera, and I choose usually videos with great pronunciation. Listen to the video, imitate it, create video and post it up. Create video, and that will help me to listen individually to every student. Then I send the feedback. Let's work on the Dad and Sad as example, or Dal and Ain. I mean, whatever that student have. And a lot of our students also have speech problem. So I don't expect perfection. However, I want them to hear the letters and the word correctly. And I emphasize on that a lot because hearing it correctly means pronouncing it correctly. Next slide, please, brother. Okay.
Okay, you're on.
I think I covered this slide, encouraging communication practice. I mean, I will put like so many lines under that, and be creative again. Enrich the language. Bring a newsletter. Have them to circle some words they know or they can recognize. I mean, they can't read the newsletter, definitely, but having the newsletter in their hand tangible. And they will circle the word Biden as example, or the word New York. And they will, or just ask them, what do you think that word is? It's all newsletter. It's all about current event. And Arabic newsletters are everywhere. If there is none, I will print some from the internet. It's authentic material. It's a great way to find vocabulary, and it's going parallel with current events. So circle those and pronounce it, and you will be surprised what you can find. Or how many activity you find in the newsletter. Break them to group, have them to collect those words, cut it and paste it on paper. I remember we one of the project is we took recycled paper and we said, let's correct the green. Green is the color of Jannah. So let's correct the green. Akhdar, akhdar, akhdar. Instead of me repeating akhdar, 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 they cut the akhdar and they made collage all out of green color. And they all, I don't think they will ever forget the word akhdar. Okay. Exercises. I'm lazy, guys. I don't want to sound like I'm spending like my day and night creating activities. I am creative. However, I ask the student to come with ideas too. So how can I say, I provide the environment and I let them roll with it. Okay, let's go to the next slide, brother.
Just to remind you, we have about 35 minutes left in this session.
Oh, okay. I'm finishing in 2 minutes.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay. Can we play the video? We don't have to play the whole thing.
I'm gonna be playing the video now.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أنا اسمي محمد وأنت؟
اسمي منصف.
كم عمرك منصف؟
عمري 10 سنوات. وأنت؟
10 سنوات.
كيف حالك؟
بخير الحمد لله. وكيف حالك أنت؟
بخير والحمد لله.
That's enough, brother, for the sake of time. Believe it or not, those are Bengali students. They never learned Arabic. They don't know what Arabic is. And they are in Sunday school. And they are not trained for this video because I walked in and I took those video randomly from a teacher, amazing, one of our amazing teacher. And Dr. Amal knows those students very well, and she knows the teacher. Well, the teacher Hinda encouraged communication from day on. By the week 10, I think it's week 10 or 8 where I took this video, the kids were able to role play and express themselves really well. And what happened when they do role play and the classroom theater? We're recycling the language. They designed the dialogue themselves, and each one of them made it a little bit differently. And she was checking the comprehension. What better way to recycle the language more than that? Let's go to the last slide, brother. 1 minute, I'll finish.
There you go.
Okay. Provide constructive feedback. And this is very, very, very important. Most of our teachers lack with assessment and providing feedback. I mean, assessment, that's need like probably session with hours or probably workshop by itself. But again, I mean, addressing the mistake. No, that's not the way you say it. Never say that. Because when you were little, your mom did not say, don't say, okay, instead of saying apple, you said apple. She didn't say it. She understood apple. But she would reply, would you like apple? Or when you run to your mom and you say, oh, I got hurt, you mean you got hurt. And your mom would say, oh, I'm so sorry you got hurt. She's making you hearing the word correctly, not saying, oh, don't say it. The child is not able to say it as well as the language learner. It's my job to make him or her hear, or the learner, to make the learner hear the vocabulary over and over and over in a correct way. Highlight the improvement. One of my student, my previous student, I pumped to her at the Islamic Center on Sunday, and she ran to me, young, beautiful girl. She's in her probably 17, 18. And she gave me a hug. Hi, Miss Samar. And I felt so embarrassed. All what I remember, the beautiful smile, but she developed to be a gorgeous girl. And she said, oh, I loved your class. I said, what did you love about my class? I mean, just the word, I love your class, I mean, wiped all the tiring of all the years. And she said, well, I love the little gifts you give us and the respect. And I was like, wow. She said, yeah, you respected us a lot. You were always asking us, what would we like to do? You involved us in the decision. And I was like asking myself, I did that? Seems like I did that. Involving the student in the decision and give them respect is really the key word in every subject, not only in Arabic. Use a lot of examples as much as you can. Be colorful as much as you can. And good luck. I'm available 24/7. Email me, text message me. Don't call me, guys. I mean, text message me, and I'll do my best to answer any question. And if you have any question, I will be more than happy to answer by the end of the webinar. With that, I conclude that. I guess I will introduce, will go to Dr. Amal right after me. She will be talking about Quran, right, Miss Susan? Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yes,
Thank
and
you so
somehow
much.
Sister Amal's name is not there. It's my name, but you're about to hear from Sister Amal Sakr Elhoseiny. Take it away.
Okay, mashallah, Allahu Akbar. Dr. Samar, you covered many main points in the classroom of Arabic, teaching Arabic. But I would say, okay, teaching Quran is more, because out of his experience, I taught Arabic and taught Quran too, but out of experience, they can see that the teaching Quran to kids is more appealing, and they don't have that much anxiety like in Arabic. But I see that Quran relates really on the Arabic language, depends on perfection of pronunciation. So I asked the Arabic teacher to help the students with the makharij, okay? And also, in addition, I add the tajweed. I want the kids also, when they come after learning Arabic for a couple of years and coming to me, then also in Quran class, they will be able to understand
a lot of vocabulary and grammar, because this will help them to understand the message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to send us through the Quran. At the same time, Quran also is a very nice subject that also depends on the Islamic studies or relates to the Islamic studies, because the content of the ayat we are teaching our kids or our students at schools, it depends on teaching the basics of beliefs and worship and ethics. And inshallah, today I will only focus on one point, which is the classroom management plan that I start with it in my school, and also the one that really helps me to teach the subject and make it the subject enjoyable for the kids, because I need their help. As much as they need me, I need them too in order to have a successful school year. Next slide, please. Yeah. So I have here some tips in class Quran, how to start the class. At the beginning of the school year, I start by telling my students about my goals. I have goals as Quran teacher, and I simplify this or just tell them, I want you to pronounce the Quran perfectly and recite the Quran as has been recited by Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because it's fard ayn. It's important. Whenever you recite any part of the Quran, you have to make sure that you don't have any mistake in the tashkil. So pronunciation, perfection, we are not supposed to change the meaning of any ayah by changing the fatha to alif or whatever. So I teach them in my class about the hidden mistakes and the clear mistakes when we go over tajweed. But being able to recite the Quran perfectly in order to perform the prayer in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with is very important for me. This is number one. And then I want them also to understand what they are reading, reciting, memorizing, because this will have a good impact on their life every day. And I want them also to apply whatever they are learning in their everyday life. These are my goals. I share my goals with my students. Then I will ask them about their personal goals, because the students, they come from different background, and also some students, they will join the school maybe this year the first time for them, and some have learned before. I'm sure that every one of them has different goal. I would ask them to in a project start writing about their goals that are achievable, and we can assess if they are already achieved these or not. In order to start putting the rules, classroom rules together, I look everywhere on YouTube to find some nice video clips, very short ones, and especially if they are a little bit fun, happy, to make the kids happy, that will get their attention, and they will feel, okay, Quran class is not a class that we don't speak, we don't talk, we don't laugh. No, there is time to laugh, there is time to have fun, and there is time to enjoy the class and also achieve. I don't know if we have time to share one of the videos. I have here 3 videos. It depends on the age of your students, you can pick. If you have like students from 4th grade to 8th grade, something like that, you can show them the Minions. And these film, they are very funny, but the producer for this YouTube link, specifically this one, they worked on it in order for them to make it shorter and to the point. At the same time, they added like a rule in order to be followed in the classroom. I don't know if we have time. If not, you have the videos to check them later. So what do you think, Miss Sister Susan? If we don't have time, that's fine.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit of at least the first one,
Yeah, the first one, the minion, and maybe the second, the minion, yes.
I never join a meeting without my AI meeting assistant to take notes. Watch this. I can ask Otter AI.
Now you have the apps, not I have them. I have them. Okay. While they are watching that, I tell them to take notes, the students.
Ba 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 na na. Ba 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 na na. Oh, ba 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 na na.
Yeah, there are many situations. So one of them, don't hit, try to talk, be excited when you learn, participate fully in classroom activities. Yeah, they are very nice. We can stop that. This is for the students who are a little bit older.
Okay, you go back to the presentation?
Yeah. We can show also a little bit from video part 1. This is for the younger ones, because the kids, we know that they like to play games.
How about we send the links, because it opens up in the YouTube and it shows sometimes unrelated content. So let's just send them the links.
Okay, send them the links. But the second and the third, they are also made for younger students. They ask each other questions and to find out what are the rules. While the students are watching these, they write their notes. Then I will give them the chance or empower them to be self-dependent in writing their own rules. After they watch that, they might come up also with more rules they would like to follow. And once they write their rules by themselves, this will ensure that they will achieve learning, and also they will follow these rules together. After they choose a lot of them, I write them on the board or type them, and then ask them, why did you choose these rules? They will answer questions and they will give me, okay, we'll do this and we will follow that, and this is good for us to achieve our goals. Then I will ask them to sign the rules that we already agreed upon. They sign that as a contract, and then I will put it on the bulletin board. I will send it to their parents in order for them to help us, because collaboration between school and home is most important to achieve any goals we would like to have, inshallah. And then I refer to Quranic ayat that they cover the certain value-based and moral themes to remind the students that we are learning Qur'an in order to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's watching us, and in the Qur'an we learn about ethics, and we need to follow all of that in order to be good Muslims, inshallah, and serve the community later. So you can go to the next slide, please. So in the first week, you can also click another one, please. Yeah, to get the meaning in English. As you see, I start by Surah Al-Furqan, that talks about عباد الرحمن. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعباد الرحمن الذين يمشون على الأرض هونا وإذا خاطبهم الجاهلون قالوا سلام. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us how to behave and how to act in our daily life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about his servants, and the next ayah is وَالَّذِينَ يَبِيتُونَ لِرَبِّهِمْ سُجَّدًا وَقِيَامًا. This is also another advice Allah is giving us and requirement from us in order to be عباد الرحمن. And I skipped many ayat because the content of these ayat maybe is not very appropriate for their age or for the school setting. And then I went to the last ayah that talks about the reward. Can you please click, brother, next one, to show the attendees, when I read and discuss these ayat with the students, this will soften their hearts, because they will feel that they are Ibad ar-Rahman. He is the most loving, he is the most merciful. So, and he has chosen them to be his own servants. What do you expect more than that? He is merciful, and He will take care of you once you make good choices. I tell my students like this. And I want them also to acknowledge that the importance of showing humbleness all the time. I want them also to learn that how to react in hard situations. And especially when they got in like some discussions with class mates inside the classroom or in the playground. You did this, no, I didn't do it, how? So this will teach them how to behave by يقولون سلاما. What's salam? They have two options. And this has been explained in the videos, part 1 and 2. If you see these videos, you will find that the person who is teaching them in a very attractive way, because the students, they need to see the situation, they need to see the ayat written, they need to see also the meaning in English written, in addition to the drawing, to the animation. All of that will help them to remember the situation and even the modeling. So they will learn from it a lot, and they will say salaman. They don't want to get into discussions, and the situation will be elevated. In either they ignore or they stop talking about the situation if it is hard, or they talk softly with the people in order to solve the problem. Yes, it's Ibadur Rahman. I would like them also to appreciate when they pray and feel the closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the day in school or at home or at night, even some of them. And definitely they look forward to the reward in the hereafter. But this will, inshallah, help my students. I thought I start the first week or the first 2 times I see my students with that, these ayat, to learn and to read, and to, if they don't know how to read it, there is English translation. It depends on their situation, and it depends on their level. And maybe next slide, I will share with you, really out of experience, what I, the next slide, please, brother. Yes, these are the ground rules that we already came up with. I start by writing 5 or 6, and the students give more and more because they brainstorm together, and they write these in order to help us to achieve our goals, if they are academic or spiritual goals. And you have now, as teachers now attending this webinar, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless you all. You have some of them, you can add to them or delete. You can make your own choices to start your classroom management plan. And in addition, also there is the choices. So in order to ensure the students will be able to follow all these rules and the choices, you need to give them the power and make them to be part of the compiling and compiling the rules together. And they need to know also what are the consequences if they don't follow these rules. And the best thing to do is to put it in a place in the classroom. I need just only the next slide, brother. Or, I mean, when you click, these are the ground choices, and click again, please. So when the students are done with that together, and I put on the bulletin board, I start by putting my goals, number 1. These are my goals as a teacher, and then the rules that they will follow, inshallah, and their choices. And I ask all of them to write their names or sign their names, and this is like the contract. And in addition, on the sides, everyone has the right to write his own goal, and these goals, they should be realistic and achievable in order to visit them again during the year to make sure that they achieve them. And as you see, the parents, when they come to the back to school night, they can see that this slide, or I can share it with them on Zoom in order to help our students to stay on task and follow rules and enjoy learning, because this is the best we can offer our students, inshallah, to give them also a safe environment and full of fun and respect and all of these values that we are learning from the Quran. And during the year, I go over some ayat that are related to the values in order to for them to learn and apply in their life. And we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us, inshallah, to do our best to teach our kids the Quran and to be learning from the teachings of the Quran and follow Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And may Allah bless you all. And as Ms. Samar said, we are ready for any questions, inshallah, for that webinars. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And now, Sister Abir will be next slide, inshallah. وإياكم. شكرا جزيلا.
Abir, would you like me to read your bio?
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. We're good. We're good.
Let me just call it out. In 2021, Abir Catovic was the recipient of the New Jersey State Governor Jefferson Award in Education for exemplary volunteer efforts and public service. And truly, you are a servant of Allah with a wonderful bio. So please make sure you go to our website to read it.
جزاك الله خير. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. I'm going to do my best, inshallah, to go through some tips on Islamic studies. So if you don't mind going to the next slide, inshallah, that would be great. Okay, so I would start the first thing by saying promote a positive, welcoming school and classroom environment. I call myself the cheerleader, a sincere cheerleader of every student. Like I'm cheering them on. And research, education research has shown that the greatest determinant of positive student outcomes is a teacher who believes in the ability of the students. So it's kind of, if we believe that the students can do it, inshallah, they will rise and they will do what you expect them to do. So we need to have that kind of in our hearts when we are teaching these students. And I know this is something that we all thrive on. You are a unique group of people, so this is something that's in you, inshallah. We should be expressing joy to be with our students. We've all been taught what professionalism is. Professionalism is that it's not that we don't have problems, it's that we don't show them when we go to class. So we want to be happy, happy to see them, happy to notice them. Let them know that they were missed. Oh, you didn't come last week. Are you okay? Is everything all right? Have those types of conversations. I remember when I was a young teacher, I watched a teacher do this, like with every student. I was wondering, like, what is she doing? But she was just establishing a community. And that's really important because if you feel welcome, then you will participate, you'll take part, you'll be interested in learning. We should be concerned about the welfare of our students and we should let them know it. When you have to talk to them, tell them, because I care about you. Sometimes I'll tell students, in school, I'm your substitute mom. So I will treat you like my children and I will, I will treat you just like my children and I'll try to guide you like my children. So whatever I want from my children, I want for you too. I want you to be the best. I want you to get the best, so on. And I know that's not easy all the time. So I'll give the advice of what scholars say when we have an issue dealing with someone is always look for the good in each student. If you have a student that gets under your skin, which it's understandable, we're human beings and we may not get along with everybody, have a little bit self-reflection with yourself. Sit down to try to figure out what about that student is really bothering me. Do a little bit of analysis because we can't teach when we have a feeling towards somebody that's not positive. And then if it's not working by yourself, talk to some of your colleagues. Sometimes, sometimes that'll help. Sometimes a student behaves a certain way in a different class. Sometimes teachers know how to manage that student in a different way. So we need to work collaboratively as a team when we're teaching. We're a team trying to teach a group of students. It's not an individual task. Okay, on to the next one, inshallah. When we talk about promoting a positive, welcoming school and classroom environment, we need to reference the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where a person asked the Prophet ﷺ, which act in Islam is the best? And he replied, to give food and to greet everyone, whether you know them or not. And you may be wondering, why are you picking this hadith? I can't stress enough the importance of the Islamic greeting of saying Assalamu alaikum. And it's so important that it's got to be part of our curriculum. So if you're looking for curriculum advice, this is a lesson, and it's not one lesson, it's multiple lessons. This is a lesson in the early elementary, the littlest guys, teaching them how to say assalamu alaikum. Whenever I see another Muslim, I'm going to say assalamu alaikum, and then the other person's going to respond and say wa alaikum assalam. And these are things that we take for granted because they're easy for us to say. But when you listen to a little KG student or a pre-K student say these words, they trip over them. They trip over the letters. Sometimes they say assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum. They don't know how to respond. We have to teach them. These are things that, that we have to put time and effort, because this is how you make a community. I walked onto the campus of a weekend school once that had hundreds of kids. And I look like this. I walked onto that campus and I didn't hear salams once. That was so disheartening. What are we teaching if we're not teaching this? The idea is that this is something very basic. The Prophet ﷺ taught it, and this is a way that we acknowledge one another. This is something very important. So we don't take this lightly. So it should be done, it should be, if you look at your curriculum, it's done early. You teach kids, the basics, like whenever you give salams, whoever gives salams, whatever you give back has to be equal or better, right? I mean, it's important enough that it's mentioned in the Quran. So it's not something that, that we should ignore. And it does build a community. And as these students grow, you're going to teach them basic things like, there's a social implication to giving salams. You know what I mean? When you give salams to people, whether you know them, the Prophet ﷺ said, whether you know them or don't know them, right? When you do this, that means you acknowledge the value of every human being. This is profound, and we shouldn't take it lightly. And if you're in an environment where you're teaching and you don't see this being propagated, you don't see people giving salams, you be the role model. You're the teacher. You be the role model. And you walk down the hallways with a smile on your face, and everybody that you see, and I'm not crazy, right? Everybody that you see, you pass it and you say assalamu alaikum to them. And the students notice. You know what I mean? The students notice. They say, she was nice enough to speak to me. You're the grown-up, you're the big person. So when you actually take that time, Sister Samar was talking about respect. When you take the time to give salams, you are showing the respect that is due to them. You are showing respect to everyone. So this is something, we think of it as small, but it's not so small. This is like, this is one of the big things I would say. Make sure whatever school you're in, that you are emphasizing this, and that, when a student does give you salams, that you're like, this is awesome. Wa alaikum assalam, high five. I'm so impressed by you. Thank you so much for noticing me. Thank you so much for following the sunnah of the Prophet. Like, this is how we build community where people care about each other and realize, that everybody is valued. And then when we're working in an environment like that, that's when you see, you'll see things that are awesome, and you'll see the progress in your students, inshallah. So whatever way we can, I know Sister Samar talked about, don't say you're wrong. Let's work on, pointing out the positive, being encouraging, so on and so forth. Like, I know when I grade papers, sometimes when their answers are funny, like I'll say, ha ha. I taught all different grades, and the students in high school would laugh when they get their papers back, because they're like, look what she wrote. Because I would joke around with them and like, are you kidding? Show them that you're a human being and you're part of their community, and that you're their friend and you want the best for them. And inshallah, you'll see some pretty awesome things. Okay, bismillah, we can continue. Next one. Allow the students to learn from one another and share their learning. So this idea of collaborative learning, which we've heard, you can start right away. You don't need to have an older student. You can start with younger students. And like Sister Samar was saying, I did a lesson where they said, akhdar, 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 akhdar. They're never going to forget akhdar. Well, the same thing when they present. So if you give them an opportunity they're working on something, they're coloring, they're learning something, and then you have that student get up there and show what he or she drew or what she colored, this reinforces your teaching. I taught the primary lesson, but that child is teaching it, reinforcing it, so the other students listen and the other students learn, and this is a great way for them to learn. You can also have them work on projects together, work on things together, and that develops their social skills. You as a teacher walking around, encouraging them to be polite to each other, trying to help them figure out when they disagree, how do you come to an agreement? All of these things, you're developing their social skills, you're developing their leadership skills. As they get into middle school and high school, give them the opportunity to debate, different topics. There's all different topics that are out there. The Muslims have to deal with a lot of different things. Teach them how to debate respectfully. You can't just tell someone you're dumb, or you can't, tell them to be quiet. Your argument has to be better. You have to figure out how to, take that person's argument and turn it around. How do you, infuse it with Islamic proof? This you get some to be, thinking critically, right? Thinking critically and also learning the perspectives of others, because not everybody in the world is Muslim. When they walk out of your classroom, they're going to deal with a whole lot of different people. And you want them to be prepared in order to defend what they believe in a respectful manner. And as these students get older, you can, like Sister Samar was saying, that she uses her students to get ideas. Well, for special occasions, or if you do it at a particular time in the year, you can actually have the older students prepare lessons for the younger students. I had students for different activities. For example, they made games to go play in the younger classes, and they were the ones running the games for younger students. So you had high school students preparing games for, let's say, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and there's a big, a nice connection between younger students. They look up to older students and they respect them a lot because they're looking at their future and what they want to be like. So when you're able to have these students, create these games, like a Jeopardy game or whatever type of game about Islam, and so they've done the research, they've done their work, they prepare it, and then they walk into a classroom, a younger student's classroom, and then they play the game. It teaches these these young men and women how to deal with that age, because sometimes they have younger brothers and sisters and they have to learn how to deal with them. So they're learning how to deal with that age, and they're learning how to cooperate. And these are like very good ways for students to learn. Both sides are learning. The one who's preparing the lesson is learning and how to figure out how to do this. The one who's being taught is also learning. So the more that they can interact with each other, the more that you can set up lessons where they're interacting with each other, the more they're going to learn, inshallah. Okay, on to I believe that's my last slide is coming up, inshallah. The Prophet ﷺ said, make things easy for people and do not make them difficult, and cheer people up and do not drive them away. Age-appropriate lessons and vocabulary. This is kind of critical in Islamic studies. So the idea of chunking lessons, what does that mean? Sometimes you'll have a big unit, a big lesson. Break it up into absorbable parts, if I can say so. If you break it up, just like how do we learn? I mean, if you just think about how we also learn, we can't take big chunks of information that are way more than we can handle. If you take little bits of information, it's much more easy to process and to retain. So for example, wudu should not be taught in one lesson. Never, 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 never. You cannot teach wudu in one lesson to a class. And you can't tell them write all those steps down and go home and study. That is not how we teach. That is not how we teach if you want it to stay with them. That is how we teach if you're teaching them to a test and that's what you care about. And that's not how Islamic studies should be taught. Islamic studies should be taught that they should be able to bring it back whenever they need it. I have some young elementary students, and I just asked them because I thought, okay, for sure they know wudu, and I said, okay, can you tell me the steps of wudu? And I had one start with her face. I was like, Allahu Akbar. So I'm like, that didn't work. Whoever taught it before me, that didn't work, right? So if you want to be effective, you need to chunk your lessons, bite-sized pieces that they're going to be able to handle. And listen, when you're dealing with really young elementary, your lesson may have just one concept, and that's fine, because if they get one concept down and it's there, then next week I can add another one. But if I give them 3 concepts and it's all floating around and they can't figure it out, I have not taught them anything. This is really an important thing for Islamic studies, because sometimes we want to do quantity over quality, 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 quality. It has to be a good lesson that the students can be able to give it back to you, and they may not be in one lesson, okay? I was just teaching KG last week. The word religion was really hard to get out of their mouth. That word is hard. It's easy for you and I to say religion, but when you're 4 and 5, religion's a big word. So the first week when I had them say the religion, our religion is Islam, they stumbled. But the second week when we did it, those little 4 and 5-year-olds could turn. They were turning to the other person and say, Yassine, what's the name of your religion? Who doesn't love that? That's so cute. And they were so happy because then Yassine could answer and say, my religion is Islam. That's what it means to work together in little pieces, and those little pieces stay. And versus a whole lot of quantity, and it does not stay. And then we feel like we're just spinning our wheels and the students aren't learning. This is also a big one. Simplify Islamic vocabulary. Sometimes in our books and our learning materials, there's what I call archaic. Archaic means it's no longer used. Nobody who speaks English nowadays uses these terms. So for example, when we translate like A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, we do I seek refuge in Allah. No one speaks this way. Sorry. No one speaks this way. So all English speakers, hello. Nobody says I seek refuge in anything. Okay? So utilize simpler alternatives. I seek Allah's protection, and then when you teach seek, you got to go back to, like when you say to the students, do you know how to play hide and seek? Because seek is not an easy word either, right? So, do you know how to play hide and seek? So when you play hide and seek, what do you think you're doing, right? I am looking for something. I am, looking, asking. So you need to teach these vocabulary words because there's a lot of words. There are a lot of students who learn things and they have no idea what they're saying. That's not learning. You know what I mean? That's not learning, and that's not teaching either. So I, as a teacher, have to make sure that my vocabulary is to their age. And what I would say, if English is not your first language, and it's perfectly fine, that's perfectly fine. Ask a native English speaker. You could probably use your own children. Like your kids are going to school, so they probably, if you have kids in middle school or high school or so on, you can ask them, do we use these words? Do kids know what these words are? My kids now tell me how all the words are bad words. MashaAllah. That's like, so be careful of the words that you use because everything is terrible. So like my kids point that out because I'm not so much on social media knowing all the terrible things that are in the world. So my kids are telling me, Mom, maybe watch out about using that term or whatever, because language changes, and so we need to be able to use language that's appropriate to these children. So then they'll be able, to understand. This is something they need to understand. They need to understand their religion. If a student uses a fancy term in your class, ask them what it means. Don't let them get away with it. Don't let them I used to tell them, oh yeah, you're using Islam word. Oh, beneficent, beautiful, gracious, holy, gratitude. Okay, I said, don't play with me. Tell me what that word means. If you're going to use it, you better be able to define it. So then I understand it and everybody else in the class understands it. It's really, really important because sometimes, really when you hear kids say stuff and they don't know what they're saying and you don't know what they're saying. So where's the learning here? That's not learning. I would also say to you, work with your colleagues, work with the other teachers in the school, standardize the vocabulary across the grade levels. This is not something unique to Islamic studies. This is unique across the world of education. I was in a restroom once and there was a science teacher in front of me. She had a tattoo for science. I was like, okay, I'll start a conversation. And, I started asking her, what grades do you teach? And she said, the biggest problem in science is that we change the vocabulary on the kids and the kids can't catch up. And that's a problem. Don't change vocabulary. You know what I mean? If you're going to change vocabulary from grade to grade, then you have to teach it to them. So for example, I don't teach worship to little kids. Worship is, that's a big word. And then what happens is when they will say worship means prayer. Worship is not prayer, right? Worship is following the rules of Allah. That's what you want to teach. So when they say worship, you teach them follow the rules of Allah. Very, very, very simple. So as you progress and they get older and maybe 6th or 7th, 8th grade, you want to stick with worship, I'll go back to them and say, tell me what that means. Tell me what it means. And then I'll get the answer. Someone's going to say prayer. And I'm like, okay, you missed it. Worship isn't just prayer. So then they have to go back to that original definition. That means follow the rules of Allah, right? So that's, or follow the rules. You worship the sun. You believe the sun makes rules, right? If somebody who doesn't believe in Allah as God, they believe something else is God and they worship that item, they believe that item is making rules and they have to follow the rules of that thing. That's what worship means. So that's how you simplify things. So then we're all on the same, we're all on the same playing field, talking the same language. Okay. And that's what it is. I see love and obey, but love is a really big word too. So, you know what I mean? We use it. And so really your vocabulary, like even though, sometimes people use the word slave. Nobody wants to be a slave. When we say fear Allah, nobody likes somebody that they fear. So like, we really need to watch our vocabulary. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't take your vocabulary lightly. Watch your vocabulary. When you clarify it and really, really explain it, it's a really important point when you're trying to develop, to be able to have that love and obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is as you get older. But you need to simplify and clarify this terminology and not make it a mystery subject. As you can see, we have a lot to say on these topics. So I'm just gonna end right here, inshallah. Sister Sue, I can wrap up everything for Wiser. Do you want to give some time for asking some questions, inshallah?
I honestly think that we're really out of time, so we're not going to do the Q&A here right now, but I have requested that if anybody wants to ask specific questions, please write to us at our email address, which is info@wiser-usa.org. We'd be happy to go into details. You could even specify, please have Sister Samar or Sister Abir or Sister Amal answer this question for me, and we'll get them in touch with you for that. Honestly, thank you so much. Please forgive us for the tech glitches. It's our first time doing a webinar and using this platform, but we appreciate everyone for their attendance. And please know that Wiser, we are here basically to give you the benefits that we have with our expertise. We hope that you will look at our professional development calendar that we have, the catalog rather, on our website, get a school membership, tap into our resources vault that we have. And inshallah, we will have another webinar coming up. It's just been decided October 22nd on getting parents involved as partners. We also have an event that's going to be coming up, save the date, in February. I believe it's the first weekend in February that will be in New Jersey. So we were going to combine with a couple of other organizations, CISNA and the CICW, Council for Islam in the Contemporary World. And wonderful things are happening at Wiser. So please do support us, visit our website, and tap into us for certification, looking at our standards, and having us come out to do some professional development for your schools. Any last comments from any of my other associates? And thank you also.
If Brother Faisal could just put the last slide up so then people can see where we're at and the different services that we have available, that would be awesome.
Iman said, please consider Orange County in California. Definitely, Iman. We're going to be in the West Coast Conference, as usual, in Martin Luther King weekend. Abir, Amal, myself, Susan, and the rest of the board members. We're going to have track for Wiser, inshallah, there.
Inshallah.
And we have 3 schools that are going through certification right now as pilot schools. We're very, very excited about.
Yes, we are. Also, if you're not a member yet, please, I will encourage you to be a member. It's a free membership, and encourage anybody in weekend school, anywhere around United States, even we're reaching out to Europe, to be a member of Wiser. That will be part of your Sadaqah Jariyah. Again, it's a free membership. I will try to provide as much as we can. If God willing to help us. God.
Yep. And we can just end if we just say Surah Al-Asr and dot, inshallah. So if all of us, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. Jazakumullah khairan for joining us. It was an absolute privilege, and we hope inshallah that you benefited. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Jazakumullah khairan.